Hello and welcome to episode 85 of the Bearded Banter podcast, the gaming podcast where, even in quarantine, we're still doing the show because we never do this from outside the comfort of our own homes. Why would we do that? Who cares about seeing people in person when you can just talk about video games over Discord? I'm your host, Shane the Bearded One. With me is a very special guest. You may have recognized him. He's been on the show before. He shows up all the time on my Twitter feed. And, of course, he's always in the Twitch chat. Please welcome Ryan, the NCS Master, back to the show. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, man. It's great to be back here again.
Yeah, it's been a little while since you were last on the show.
Yeah, I think it's been at least half a year.
That sounds about right. I don't even remember when it was, so...
Yeah, I know we did it over the summer last.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But thanks for joining me again.
Yeah, no problem, man. Like I said, it's great to be back here.
And we got quite a bit to talk about. If you're unfamiliar with our format, we start off with some general discussion, talk about what games we've been playing lately. We end that off with a discussion question of the week before we go right into the news. And the news may seem a little loaded at first, but almost half of our stories revolve around the same thing, so we should be able to get through most of those fairly quickly. So without further ado, if you're ready to get started, we can go right into general discussion.
Okay.
All right, well, let's start right ahead with general discussion. Let's start with you, since you're the guest. So, Ryan, what have you been playing lately?
Well, I guess the two obvious things I can bring up first are I recently did a playthrough of Devil May Cry 1, and you're pretty well aware of that.
Yeah, I'm going to have links to both your Twitter and channel in the description. If you're unfamiliar, he does vlog reviews over on his channel. Just recently played DMC for the first time ever. And how was that experience for you?
It was definitely good. The game definitely grew on me the more and more I played it. I was pretty annoyed with it at first. Like there were just certain things about the game, like the camera, which you will hear me bring up a lot if you watch my review.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a fan of the fixed camera. I thought it made combat very difficult. In fact, that camera ended up resulting to me like dying to Nello Angelo's first fight like 4 times before I beat him.
Oh, don't trust me. If you've seen the video I posted, because last year I played it for the first time ever too, when I recorded it, that Nilo Angelo fight is a bitch.
Yeah, it's just the first fight was the hardest with him, which I have no idea why.
It's mainly just because you're trying to get... It's still pretty early on in the game, so you're still trying to get a feel for how everything works and controls, and also it's your first time fighting him, so you're trying to get used to patterns and his attacks and stuff.
Yeah, but the game definitely did grow on me the more and more I played it. I got better at the combat. I had a lot of fun by the end game, and even some things that people kind of rag on the game for, like the cutscenes and the bad voice acting, like they weren't great. But other than that one massive voice crack by Dante at the end,
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
that was bad. That was very. But other than that, I actually kind of like the cutscenes. I thought they were pretty cool.
Like, especially for the first game in the series, they definitely come off as very tongue-in-cheek by today's standards, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah, and you can definitely see that, like, Dante isn't in his complete snark mode yet that he would be in like 3, 4, 5.
Mm-hmm.
But you can definitely see where his personality started in those cutscenes.
It's a little weird to think about in terms of, like, the chronology of the series, because 3 takes place before 1, and 3 is where they introduce the really quick, snappy, quirky Dante, but then in 1 he seems very subdued by comparison.
Yeah.
Even though it technically takes place after that.
Yeah, maybe you could argue it's because, he was younger, and because maybe after what he went through with Virgil, that kind of battle hardened him after 3.
But then in 4, he's over here doing, like, Shakespearean monologues, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'm trying not to just do a whole review again. But
Right. You can watch 38 minutes of that over on his channel.
Yeah, my vlog reviews tend to be pretty long. But yeah, then the other one that was the obvious answer was I've started a bit of Doom 2016,
Right.
played a little bit of that so far, and that's been pretty fun. It was definitely shocking to see that it was actually pretty difficult the first little bit I've played. Like because I was kind of expecting like because Doom guy's whole aura is he's this unstoppable killing machine. So like
Hmm.
I wasn't expecting like Dynasty Warriors or something, but I thought it was kind of going to be one of those things where just Doom guy is tearing through everything. But no, you definitely got to keep on your toes.
Yeah, they definitely do throw challenging enemies at you, so it's not a total cakewalk, which I appreciate because if it was, then I feel like the game would get boring pretty quickly.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I haven't played much of it yet, but from the bit I've played, it's very fast paced, a lot of fun. You got to make sure your ammo is well managed, and of course the music is pumping.
Hmm.
But yeah, from what I've played, I'm having a lot of fun. I'll definitely get through that sooner or later. But probably like the games that I can talk about the most, and it's actually somewhat of a continuation from the last time I still have fresh in my mind. I've done playthroughs of X7, X8, of Mega Man, and I also have gone through Zero One, and I'm going through Zero Two right now.
Right, because the Zero Collection came out a couple months ago.
Yeah. And so I guess given my brief thoughts on all of those. X7, I was dreading it a lot, but gonna be completely honest,
Oh no.
no, not as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
That's definitely the unpopular opinion.
No, oh, no, no, no. It's totally one of the lowest tier Mega Man X games, but like people will always debate what's worse, X6 or X7. After playing both, I can easily say X6 is the worst game. I don't think it's even close, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I wouldn't even argue with that, to be honest.
Just because, like X7, it's just kind of meh. Like it all just happens, and there's just nothing really remarkable about it. Where with X6, there is only pain and misery,
Pain and suffering.
pain and suffering, and horrible translations. But yeah, so X7, it was, I mean, I honestly might even put X7 above X3 in my X rankings.
That's going a bit far there.
Well, yeah, X3, I just have so many problems with that game. It's just such a big step down from X2 and X1, in my opinion.
I don't argue with you there, but I definitely still thought the X3 was one of the better ones. I
Uh,
wouldn't put it on the same caliber as like
I,
X1 or X4, but
yeah.
I still
I,
enjoyed it quite a bit.
yeah, I mean, I didn't hate X3, and I haven't played it in a little bit, so maybe I need to play it again to compare it to X7. But yeah, I didn't hate X7 as much as I thought I would, but I really, really liked X8. I was really glad I played that.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of things about X8 and a lot of polarizing things actually, because some people think it's just as bad as X7, and then some people say it's a marginal step up.
Oh, no, 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 no. It's not even close to X7. X8 actually, it might be my third favorite, to be completely honest. It's really, really good. Like, the just certain things like the voice acting is a massive step up from X7. It's an X game with actually good voice act. The character switching is so much better between like X Zero and Axel. It's all 2D instead of throwing in some janky 3D stuff like X7 did. The music is fantastic. I think the only thing my problem with it is that like the level design can be a bit spotty at points. It can be a little rough around the edges. Like if the level design was as good as X1 or X2, it would probably be my favorite X game.
Hmm, that's saying quite a bit.
I know it really is, but I just think it does a really good job in so many departments. It actually brings some interesting elements into the story, even though that is kind of a shame in the same vein because we haven't had X9 and it's
Yeah.
been 16 years.
Damn, when did X8 come out then?
I I think it was 2004.
2005. I'm gonna double. You keep talking. I'm gonna double check just to be safe.
Okay, but yeah, it was very well done. I really like what they did with the armor system in X8 with how you get two armor sets, but you can switch between which parts you want. So you can have like the helmet of one armor, but the body of another, which I think is a really cool idea. They never did that before, and I think just overall, like it's in my opinion, it's easily the hardest of the X games. Like it's definitely difficult, but I think for the most part, it's a very satisfying difficult to get through.
Yeah, it's not like punishingly difficult, but it feels good to succeed in it.
Yeah, it's not like X6 where the difficulty feels bullshit.
It's just completely arbitrary.
Yeah.
I did check
Where,
though. It came out December 2004.
yep. Okay. So, oh yeah, almost 2005 actually.
Yeah, it
But
came out. It came out in North America before it hit Japan. Actually,
oh wow,
it didn't
that's
release in
actually
Japan until March.
oh wow. So like 4 months.
Yeah, which
That
is
that's
weird, but
yeah, that's really weird.
yeah,
But
16 years.
16 years. I mean, who knows? Mega Man's in a much better place than he was before. So fingers crossed for an X9 soon.
I hope that's what's coming next.
Yeah, I mean, Capcom has confirmed that they are making another mainline Mega Man game, which we know is either going to be 12 or X9. It has.
Mhm. I would hope that it's X9 since they already went back to classic Mega Man again for
Oh
11.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't object to a Mega Man 12 whatsoever because I still love classic Mega Man. But out of the two, I would definitely prefer an X9.
Yeah, just because it's been so long, we've already seen two revivals of classic Mega Man at this point.
Yeah.
I also
um.
wouldn't be surprised if they released like a Battle Network collection next.
That's actually something I've been thinking about. I don't think we're gonna get another collection, actually.
You don't think so?
No, no, just because, well, they've done four of the like seven, I guess, series of Mega Man. Classic, X, and now Zero and ZX are together. So that only leaves Battle Network, Star Force, and Legends. They wouldn't do Star Force before doing Battle Network, so that's just kind of off the table right now. Battle Network, my only thing with Battle Network that makes me doubt it is that in the later games, Battle Network started to do the Pokemon thing where it had two separate versions. So
Oh,
like
I see.
so unless they figure out a way to like combine the games together or if they want to put like 12 games in one collection.
Which I mean, they've almost done before. So
Yeah, they have. Like I'm not saying it's an impossibility, but I think that it could happen, but I mean, comparatively, there is also Legends, which I think out of the three might have the best chance of happening.
right, I completely forgot about Legends. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, but I mean, because it's been so long. But if they did one, two, and the Misadventures of Tron Bon in one collection, that is only three games, but I think people would still like it.
I
Um,
just thought that like the next logical one would be Battle Network.
yeah, Battle Network is definitely the most logical one next, but I just that the biggest thing is just overcoming the split games thing.
Right.
That not saying I'm against it. I would love a Battle Network collection, but I don't think it's as likely as when the X collection or even the Zero collection. I was kind of shocked that even happened.
Yeah, true. Especially since they put the ZX games in there, which were on the DS, and they
Oh,
somehow found a way to make the dual screen thing work.
they got it. They got it to work. I mean, and the funny thing with the ZX collection, the Zero ZX collection, I mean, the last time I was on here, we were talking about how I wanted to play the Zero games, and then
Right.
like a couple weeks later, that was announced.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's ironic how well that timing was.
yeah, it was so crazy. I'm like, oh shit! Now I don't have to hunt down a copy of the Mega Man Zero collection on the DS.
Right. Or buy all of them on Wii U Virtual Console, which
Yeah,
I was
or
thinking
buy
of doing.
one. Yeah, but going into the Zero collection, I played through Zero One, and I'm going through Zero. Like I just played more of Zero Two last night, and I'm really really glad I finally got around to those games because they're a ton of fun. And people were right; they are a kick in the e tanks, but it's definitely enjoyable. I am thankful for the save assist mode in the Zero
Oh yeah,
collection.
that's a godsend.
Yeah, that's one of those things where I normally don't like turning on easy modes and stuff like that, but that I don't feel is an easy mode. It's more of just a help, like a little assist toward it. Because like it just adds a few more checkpoints and gives you infinite lives.
Yeah.
So I think that's different from an easy mode, I would say.
And that's why I was like when they did the original Mega Man Legacy Collection and they had save states in there, I was like, yes, give me save states. I need them. Like, these games are difficult enough as it is. Just throw me a bone. And then they only did it in the first collection, and I'm like, oh man.
In the first half of the
Yeah.
classic.
And then they took it out
Uh,
in Legacy 2, and they just did like checkpoint save states, and I'm like,
yeah, and when 9 might be the hardest of the classic game, that only just makes things more difficult.
yeah,
But yeah, so like Zero One, it was a lot of fun, and I'm really liking because the one thing everybody points out about the Zero series is that it's the one Mega Man series with an actually really good story.
yeah, yeah. I've heard a lot of things about Zero Story.
Yeah, and it's really good how it's interconnected. Like Zero Two leads right from the events of Zero One, and because that's one of the things I feel the X series had issues with story wise. Like it wanted to tell like an overarching story, but at the same time, it also kind of stuck to the episodic feeling the classic games.
Yeah, it really did. None of the events that preceded the previous game really felt like they had any interconnections. Like they all feel like standalone stories, and yet they're telling this grander narrative of like Sigma and the fight against the Mavericks, but they're all like self-contained.
Yeah, with like only a few elements from games past coming over to the next game, and sometimes not even that. Like X3, you can completely skip that game in terms of story. That game serves nothing in the grand scheme of X's story.
Like the only thing story-wise that carry over, I would say, are in X5 and X6 with the whole Zero thing,
Yeah,
and that's like
and
it. That's all.
yeah, that's kind of it basically. And you could argue X4 started taking Zero down that darker path after all the messed up stuff that happened to him in that game.
hmm
But yeah, that's one thing I'm super happy the Zero series like is fixing because even just playing only about half of 2 so far, you can already feel that Zero One had a major effect on the events of Zero, as opposed to something like where X3 basically does nothing for X4.
Right.
But yeah, those games they're I just can't get enough of those games. I'm loving playing them. I had to put them down actually to play Devil May Cry.
Yeah, you told me about that. You were like, I can't pry myself away from Zero.
Yeah, I wanted I played I was gonna start Devil May Cry 1 and then the Zero collection comes out and I'm like shit.
Well, this is bad
Play
timing.
this instead. So I played through all of Zero One and then I started Zero Two and I'm like, okay, You promised Devil May Cry, you've got to get to it. I finally got to it. And but I'm back to 02. It's a lot of fun, and I hear the games just really keep getting better. Like 03 is like the best, and 04 is not as good as 3, but it's also just very, very good in its own right.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll definitely be a blast finally getting to those. And people will say, what the next Mega Man game will be, but we can't really have a 05 as awesome as that would be, because Zero's story is very much done.
Yeah, that's one of the only, I think maybe the only, if I'm not mistaken, Mega Man series that actually has a conclusive finish.
I think Battle Network also had a conclusive finish from talking. I think I remember one of my friends mentioning that.
Okay.
So 2 of the 7 series of Mega Man has a conclusive end.
Well, it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing. I mean, you could argue Classic doesn't need an ending because it doesn't really have much of a story.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go on about Mega Man forever. These
Yep.
podcasts.
That's what you'll be remembered for.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm loving the Zero game. Can't wait to finish up 02 and get to 3 and 4. And who knows? I can't wait to hear what comes next for Mega Man. Maybe they'll announce something. I'm kind of hoping I'll just watch one of these Nintendo Directs and then, oh shit, they're revealing X9 here.
That would be wild.
It would be. And I mean, people say like, oh well, Mega Man isn't owned by Nintendo, but I mean, Resident Evil 3 remake was announced in a state of play, so
Yeah. And fucking Devil May Cry 5 was announced at Xbox's E3 conference. So
very true. Very true.
it
So
doesn't really matter where it gets announced because it's
yeah.
Capcom.
Sony gets Resident Evil, Xbox gets Devil May Cry, Nintendo gets Mega Man.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I guess out of the games I've played, I think that's pretty much most of what I can talk about. Beside, like I did play Smash Brothers with you,
Right.
but
Yeah.
what
Go
can I
check
really?
that stream out. It's probably in the end card.
Yeah, watch you kick the crap out of me with Ganondorf, but then I proceed to throw it right back with K.
Yeah, I still have nightmares about that K rule to this very day.
To this very day, even though it was a
3 days later.
3 days later. But, but yeah, I guess of games I've played, I think that's about it from what I've played recently. I kind of want to play more, but got to keep up with online school and this whole quarantine situation.
Right. Wash your hands. Hashtag stay home.
Turn the page, wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Well, then we can get into what I've been playing, which isn't a whole lot, but I do have a couple, much like you, big things to talk about. Two main games, just as you talked about, that I've been playing recently, are games that just came out. The first of which being Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is the sequel to Blind Forest, that's been talked about for years and was constantly getting pushed back, but it finally came out. I did a stream of it. You can go check that out on the channel. God, I love it. Like, it's one of those things where this is the perfect definition of what a sequel should be. It takes everything that was good about the first game and just expands upon it and makes it better. And that's basically how I feel about Will of the Wisps. Because it did everything that Ori did so well and somehow makes it feel better. Like, even down to like simple movement and platforming, it just feels smoother than it was in Blind Forest. And it's like an immediate, it's like immediately noticeable.
Yes. So like, and you said there was also like a greater emphasis on combat in Will of the Wisps, I
Yeah,
think.
because in Blind Forest, combat wasn't really a priority. You just had your little spear flame and you shot out a couple balls and that was basically it. But in Will of the Wisp, you have a whole slew of different combat options because the first thing you get is a sword. You get a
Oh,
big old energy sword, and you can just slice creatures up. And then from there, you get a whole bunch of different weapons. You get a bow and arrow, you get a giant hammer, you get a lightning spear,
oh, nice.
and you get all these different options for combat. And the combat feels great. It's very snappy, responsive, and it just feels good to beat the shit out of these creatures. Which I can't really say about Blind Forest because they didn't really emphasize that at all, which is a huge step in the right direction because they really did combat really well in this game.
Yeah, so from the sound of it, you just think Will of the Wisp is better in like every aspect,
Oh yeah,
basically.
absolutely. Yeah. Like it's to the point where I feel like it would be hard for me to go back to Blind Forest. It's one of those sequels.
Yeah.
Um
That's what you can always hope for a sequel to do, just improve upon the original.
and it's a lot of fun. I played through the whole thing, I beat it, and I started a second playthrough on hard mode. Yeah, it's just a ton of fun, and it does everything that the first game did, but better. And that's all I can really say about it. It's definitely like one of my contenders for Game of the Year so far.
Nice.
But compared to this next game, I don't know if it even holds a candle.
I think I know what you're about to talk about.
Doom Eternal. Talk about a sequel. Am I right?
Yeah.
Doom 2016 was my game of the year for 2016. I loved everything it did. It took a classic franchise and reimagined it, gave it a modern reimagining in the absolute perfect way. That game was nothing wrong with that game. I had a blast with it. Doom Eternal's better in every sense of the word. And again, much like Ori, it's one of those instances where I feel like it would be really hard to go back to Doom 2016 because this game just adds so much more. Like, more traversal options, more weapons, more locations, more demons, more secrets, better level design, platforming, like...
Which is very divisive.
Yeah, people who don't like the platforming, shut up. Just eat my ass. But yeah, like, it takes everything that made Doom 2016 such a refreshing return to form for Doom and just expands on it and gives you even more crazier shit that you can do. Like, you can be running around, you can jump up on a wall and then swing off of a monkey bar, do a double dash in the air and then land on a demon and then shoot him in the face and then use your meat hook on your super shotgun to grapple to another one and then do a glory kill, and it's like, it's just crazy, dude. It's like, it's so much fun. Like, right off the bat, I was like, everything was clicking. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be one of these games. I can already tell.
Yeah, I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot of stuff about it. Tons of praise that that it improves upon the original in many ways. I think the things I've heard people aren't too big of a fan of are the platforming, like we already mentioned. And I've heard some people say the game throws too many enemies at you at once.
Yeah. I don't really see that as like a point of contention because Doom 2016 did that. Like,
Yeah.
Doom 2016 was all about throwing you in an area, overwhelming you with enemies, and being like, rip and tear, my dude. Just rip and tear.
Yeah.
To your heart's content. So it's very much the same way here in Eternal. They just add more variety in the enemy types. So it feels a little different because there's new demons that you're not familiar with, and you have to figure out how, like, their mechanics and how they operate and what their weak points are. But it does. It's very similar to 2016 in that regard.
Yeah.
The Marauders, though, can kiss my ass.
Oh, I have heard. I have seen many complaints about that one.
Yeah, the Marauders. If there's one thing I have to complain about in this game, it's the Marauders. They are terrible.
I've seen people demanding like a patch that nerfs them.
I wouldn't go that far because if you figure out like an effective strategy against them, they're actually not that bad. It's just when they throw a Marauder in an arena when you're already overwhelmed with a bunch of other enemies, and then there's just a Marauder running around, like that's where it becomes a bit much.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard nothing but horror stories about that thing, and like, just I've heard someone say it can block the BFG, and I'm like, what?
Yep, BFG is useless against Marauders.
You are not allowed to do that.
Nope. I found an effective strategy that I actually found on Twitter where when they lunge at you to attack, if you do Ballista, quick switch to Super Shoddy, and then quick switch back to Ballista, you can get them down in 2 cycles. Like, if you hit it properly, you can, like, tear them down immediately.
So you want to bait them, essentially.
Basically, yeah. And it all comes down to if you have enough ammo, which they definitely made... They somehow made ammo more scarce in this game than 2016, but they give you more options to get ammo back. Because the chainsaw is a lot more emphasized in Eternal than it was in 2016. And there's also enemies where if you hit their weak spots, they will drop ammo. So...
Maybe the too many enemies complaint is a spin-off from not having enough ammo, because I've heard aren't using the chainsaw very much, but that's kind of your main way to get ammo back.
Yeah. Like, you gotta drill it into your head, like, use the chainsaw.
Yes.
Hit the X button.
Oh shit, it's out of gas.
And then if you just go around and rip and tear and then wait, it'll come back and then you can fucking get ammo. Anyway. But yeah, the Doom Eternal Game of the Year, easy so far. I don't think anything will beat it.
Give it a week, and then it'll be beaten.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It changes all the time.
You know what comes out in a week, right?
Oh yeah, right. Moving on.
Not even a comment.
Yeah. But yeah, playing Eternal made me want to go back to the classic Doom game. So I went back and I played the original Doom.
Ooh, nice.
And I played the first episode in that. And it's remarkable how much the newer Doom games take from the classics.
Oh yeah.
Like, they are faithful reimaginings in every sense of the word. And going back to play the original Doom, there are a couple things that don't age particularly well, mainly the aiming, and the fact that you can't aim up or down.
Yeah.
Which is a little weird, especially when you're used to how modern shooters work. But everything else about that game has aged, like, flawlessly. There is nothing wrong with the original Doom. It's so much fun.
Yeah, you gotta cut it a bit of slack, because it was one of the first person shoot.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I guess speaking of classic games, just to ask you a quick question. Did you get Doom 64 with Doom Eternal?
Yes, I did. I got if you pre-ordered it, you got a download code. But yeah, I did get 64 with it. I haven't played it yet, but I did get it.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty crazy that now with that out, all of the mainline Doom games are on all 4 modern consoles.
Yeah, it's really weird to think about, especially since for the longest time they weren't.
Yeah.
Like, Doom 1 and 2 got re-releases on the 360. Doom 3 had a BFG edition where it was like kind of a remaster. And that was basically it for the longest time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now they're all on basically anything you can imagine. Xbox, PS4, Switch, PC.
Yeah, that's really crazy that Doom's made such a comeback in the past few years.
Yeah, I am a fan because I've always loved Doom, and it's good to see that it's getting the recognition it deserves.
Yeah, it's definitely a series with a lot of history behind it that deserves its recognition.
Mm-hmm. And then a couple other things I have to talk about real quick. I went back and I played DMC 4.
Ooh.
Not 5. I know, I was just like, man, I have a craving. I'm going to play DMC 4. And so I played it for like an hour.
Better or worse than you remember?
That's a tough question. Because I was about to say, after playing 5 for so long, this feels really rough by comparison. It's not that
Just by. Oh, go ahead.
it's a bad game, because DMC4 was never a bad game, even though some people like to think it is because it was never finished. But
Uh,
yeah, it was like one of the more troubled production histories, even more so than DMC2 to some extent.
oh, yikes! How is it not finished?
Um, I'll see. The thing with that is that DMC2, they at least finished development. DMC4, they did not.
Oh,
So they got to a certain point, and they were really short for time. So it's become infamous at this point that DMC4 is only half of a game that's played twice.
yeah, that Dante is just Nero backwards.
They literally just made half of a game, and then they didn't have enough time to give Dante his own stuff, so they're just like, let's have him go through the exact same stuff just backwards. And because of that, it feels really unfinished.
Yeah. I mean, at least it turned out to be a good game still,
Yeah,
unlike
it's definitely a good game, and going back to it, I still had a lot of fun with it.
yeah, unlike Devil May Cry 2,
Yeah,
which had like 5 months of development, and then I don't even know. I mean, my buddy has told me horror stories about that.
oh, it's pretty horrific. I can't wait to play it on stream and use nothing but guns.
Yeah, I've heard the guns are very, very broken in that game.
Literally, from what I've heard, is you can just use ebony and ivory for the entire game, and you won't have any issues. Like they're that busted.
Yeah, like I've heard you can take care of enemies from almost that are like a mile away from you with those things.
Because they cause knockback and hit stun, and they're more effective than most of your melee weapons. So, like, why bother using anything else?
Oh my gosh.
But back to 4. Back to the actual good game. But, like, going back to it after playing 5 for so long, it definitely does feel rough around the edges. Everything feels pretty much the same, except it feels a little looser. It's not as tight and refined as it was in 5. Especially when it comes to air combat, which I noticed a big difference. When you're doing air combos in 5 with Nero, he stays in the air longer. It's almost like he just like magnetizes to the enemy, and he doesn't start sinking until like a ways down the combo. And DMC4, he starts sinking immediately. So you get up in the air, and then he's immediately falling back down to the ground. And it's like, it's a really stark contrast, because in 5, I feel like I have more control over what I'm doing in the air because he stays up there longer. But then in 4, like, I get up in the air and I try to do my air combo, and he's just sinking like a rock. And it's such a stark contrast, and it really threw me off for a while.
Yeah, I mean it's not the same game, but I mean with air combat, I didn't even really figure that out in DMC1.
Yeah,
Actually,
there's definitely air exploits in DMC1, specifically with enemy step and the shotgun. You can destroy enemies in the air in that game.
oh yeah, the shotgun is ridiculous in that game.
But yeah, I played like maybe an hour 4. I got 3 or 4 missions in, and I still like it quite a bit. But it definitely feels a little less refined.
So still below 3, you'd say?
Yeah. My ranking is still like from top to bottom 5, 3, 4. I'd put 1 and the reboot on the same level, honestly.
Oh
like,
wow.
Because like one for what it is a like a revolutionary title, even if it is jank as hell by today's comparison. Whereas the reboot is such a great game mechanically, but everything else kind of suffers.
Yeah, you're a lot nicer on the reboot than most people.
Yeah, like to me the gameplay makes up for most of its shortcomings, but there is still a few things in that game that I just can't overlook.
Yeah, we don't forget Dante.
Yeah, and then 2's at the bottom for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I mean I still know people who will say the reboot's worse than 2, but like it's basically between those two for which is worse.
Yeah. But yeah, I played DMC4 because I was just, why not? And I still had fun with it, even though if it did take a little time to get reaccustomed to it.
Yeah.
And then the last game I have to talk about before we get into our discussion question is a game that we played on stream yesterday because it just came out last week. Bleeding Edge.
Yeah.
And much like I said on stream, the best way I can describe this game is Overwatch if it was more focused on melee combat than shooting.
Yeah, and if every character had Reaper's level of edge.
Yeah, basically. And how you feel about that concept will basically determine how you feel about the game in general.
Yeah, I mean, I personally haven't played it, but I bought Overwatch actually, like I think the day it came out, which was God, getting close to 4 years ago.
Yeah,
But
think about that.
yeah, but I played it for like maybe half a year, but after that, I fell off. It just Overwatch is one of those games that I enjoy, but I also really hate at the same time.
It's
If
because
that
of the
makes
community, isn't it?
the community and the gameplay could be frustrating at points too. Like I'll put it to you this way: Overwatch is the only game where I have actually broken something out of anger when playing it.
Wow, even I haven't done that.
It was only like a $15 TV remote, but I was just getting so frustrated with it. It was just kind of like, ugh. And I didn't even mean to break it. It was just kind of an accident.
Bro, I played Super Meat Boy to almost 100% completion. Even I didn't break anything.
You know, Super Meat Boy is meant to be difficult, and
Yeah.
I think the difference is it is a single player game, where with multiplayer, it can be like your teammates aren't doing the right thing or something like
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
But yeah, Bleeding Edge. I talked about this a little bit on stream yesterday, but my general consensus on the game is that it's fun, and that's about it. Like, it's not a bad game by any means. Gotta give it to Ninja Theory. They know how to make a good combat system. Combat definitely feels good. Um, but I don't think it has much staying power, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can see that game going down the Battleborn slash Lawbreakers route, where it just didn't have enough fanfare and like hype around it to keep it alive after it launched.
Which is a shame because it looked interesting when they announced it. And leading up to launch, they had a couple betas which I played, and it was a good game. It was fun, but that's about all I can say about it. Like,
Yeah,
I don't. The cast is interesting from a design perspective, but I don't think its cast really stands out in like the hero shooter scene that much.
yeah, compared to like Overwatch, which has got like almost anything you can think of under
Yeah. Um.
T2, who all nine of those characters are just dripping in personality.
Yeah. Um. And it also feels like it's really bare bones. Like, even from the 2 hours we played on stream yesterday, I was like, it feels like we've only been on the same two maps over and over again.
Yeah, and I think even when we went to different maps, they looked pretty similar.
Yeah, so it doesn't really have much variety in locations, and there's only two game modes, which is capture the objective and capture power cells. So, in terms of its actual combat, it has a lot going for it because while it is simplified, it does feel good, but everything else about the game is lacking, and I think that's really going to do it in the long run. Unless they
Yeah,
decide to do what they did with Overwatch and continuously update it throughout the coming months with like free content.
yeah,
But with these kinds of games, first impressions mean everything.
yeah.
And with how little this game offers at launch, I don't think a lot of people are going to be staying on like a month or two from now?
Yeah, and just like how fanfare it had when it released. Like I didn't even realize the game released.
Yeah, it definitely feels like one of those games.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But I had my fun with it. Whether or not I will continue to play it beyond yesterday's stream is still up for debate, but I do hope it has a bright future ahead of it.
Yeah.
And with that said, we can move right into ending our general discussion with our discussion question of the week. And if you're not familiar with this, I end all general discussion with a question that I'll pose to the group or whoever's joining me, and then we'll briefly talk about that before we get into news. And this week's question, short, sweet, and to the point: what is your favorite indie game? I'm going to start with you. I already have an answer, so if you need to think about it, I can go first.
Ooh, well, I kind of have maybe like, because there's like four that I think could very easily take it for me. But I think maybe two if I could whittle it down. But I guess if I had to go with one, I think I would say Terraria.
Oh, okay, Terraria. Interesting.
Yeah, it was between like in my head it was between like Terraria, like Cave Store, like The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, and like Dead Cells, something like that. But
All respectable choices.
yeah, but Terraria, I'm like I can look at Steam like right now. I've put over 500 hours into that
Yeah,
game.
I see you every now and then just on Discords, like playing Terraria for like
Yeah,
hours on end.
yeah. The past few days or so, I've been playing in a world with like three of my old high school buddies, and we'll play for like 6 hours one night. But yeah, like that game, it offers so much to do. It's so much fun. Like there, you can be so many things in it. Like people will always compare it to Minecraft just because they're kind of similar in a
Right.
certain way. I think like in terms of like imagination and creating your own kind of world, I think Minecraft is better. But just as a pure video game, like playing a video game, I think Terraria completely blows Minecraft out of the water. But like I just can't get enough of Terraria. I've been many years now, and I always pick it up from time to time, and it's just so much.
Right. Terraria is one of those games where I tried to play it and I don't know what it was, but it just didn't click for me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not everybody's thing.
Yeah. Especially it was coming off of my Minecraft phase where I was like really into Minecraft and I was like, "Oh, a lot of people say that this game's very similar but different." So I want to try this out. And I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just because I was too young to comprehend it at the time, but it just didn't click for me for whatever reason.
Yeah, they're very similar, but also very different at the same time.
Hmm. Yeah, but a very respectable choice, Terraria. I know it is a very quality game that a lot of people love.
Yeah, it's probably one of the biggest indie games out there.
Yeah, easily. But my pick, um, I also could do several different picks because there were a lot of indie games that I grew up with in like my teen years that really defined indie games for me. Things like Castle Crashers, Splosion Man, Braid, things like that. Um,
Yeah.
but if I had to bring it down to one or two, I think the two. I'm gonna go two and just make it a tie. I'm gonna cheat. It's my show. Fuck off.
Oh, I would have cheated and said Cave Story as well.
But I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna make it a tie between two because these two games really did define what indie games could be for me, and they're still, in my opinion, some of the best. My pick. My picks are Super Meat Boy and Fez.
Nice.
Super Meat Boy because I think there is no better example of a Twitch platformer than Super Meat Boy. Because that game is expertly designed, it's incredibly fast paced, usually within like single room challenges, and it's incredibly difficult, but it's never punishing. It always feels like if you fail, it's your fault, and it always encourages you to get better. And because of all of those great design philosophies behind it, and coupled with the fact that the actual platforming is super tight, responsive, and just fun to play, that game really left an impression on me. I think I remember getting it when it first came out on XBLA because it came out in 2010. Think about that. Meat Boy is 10 years old.
Oh my gosh.
But it came out on XBLA in 2010, and they were running a special when it first came out. It's like, oh, launch week discount, get like 30% off or something. So I picked it up and I played it nonstop. And I did most of the secret challenges. I almost finished the final secret chapter, but I never got around to it because it was very difficult. But yeah, I love that game, and even now in the context of like modern indie games, I still think that's one of the best. And
Yeah.
Fez, because Fez was interesting for me because I have not I have not then or now seen a game quite like Fez. Like Fez is one of the more interesting, unique, and creative games I've seen in quite some time because it's a 2D platformer whose central gimmick is that everything exists on a cube. So you're only seeing one side of the world at a time, and you can flip the world to 4 different sides. So it's a 2D platformer with elements of 3D in the weirdest way because it's not fully 3D. You're just changing the world's perspective. And by doing so, you can use it to solve puzzles or find secret areas or things like that. And the reason Fez stuck out in my head for so long and still does to this day is because of that level of creativity. Because I don't think I've seen another game try and do that same kind of concept. And if I did, I don't think it would be able to do it as well as Fez did. And a lot of people give him shit, and who even knows where he is at this point. But Phil Fish had something with this game, and
Yeah.
he really had something with this game, and it was like truly a revolutionary game in terms of concepts and mechanics. Unfortunately, he just kind of threw it all away, but we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, like I've been interested in Fez before, but I also have kind of been hesitant just because Phil Fish isn't exactly the best guy in the world. Exactly.
I'm the kind of person that can separate the art from the artist. So even though I think Phil Fish is a pretentious douchebag who deserved everything he got,
Yeah.
I still love Fez for what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. For the most part, I can do that too. It's just actually the first time I ever heard about Fez was through Phil Fish's stupid
Right.
ant.
And that would definitely sour your perspective on the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably play it one of these days just because it does seem like a very good. But yeah, probably someday.
Yeah. I still wish that Fez 2 came out because I would have loved to have seen what a potential sequel to this game would have looked like. But unfortunately that's never going to happen.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, but I can still love the original game for what it did, and yeah, it's still one of my best examples of what an indie game can be. So yeah, those two definitely are definitely my favorite indie games. And with that said, that wraps up our general discussion, so we can go right into the news. Oh shit, Discord's still open. Fuck. Right into the news. So let me readjust my mic real quick before we get into the news. And
All right.
it might seem like we have a lot to talk about, but a lot of this stuff kind of covers the same general topic, especially like the first half. So we're just going to kind of lightning round through most of this before we get into actual news.
Okay.
So let's start off. Of course, it's about the whole pandemic thing.
Yep. Can't escape it.
More and more stuff is getting delayed and pushed back. So let's just briefly go through some of the latest delays that have been announced.
Should we mention the big one?
Oh, we will. We will.
Okay.
Minecraft Dungeons got pushed back from April to May 26th because it's no longer possible to meet that original date due to the current state of the world, according to the developer. Wasteland 3 was pushed back from May to August 28th because of the new logistical challenges of the team working from home. The Outer Worlds Switch port was pushed back from March to June 5th because of the whole pandemic thing affecting the studio. And of course, the big one, Last of Us Part 2 and Iron Man VR, don't forget Iron Man VR, have been delayed indefinitely, according to Sony, because they claim that logistically the global crisis is preventing us from providing the launch experience our players deserve.
Yeah, I mean, whew.
Yeah, so all of these delays happening at once. Of course, the big one being The Last of Us Part 2 getting delayed again.
Indefinitely at that.
Indefinitely, too. This is the only one that has been delayed indefinitely with no new date set in stone. What do you think about this?
I mean, that's obviously the world. It's in a complete clusterfuck right now. Let's be
Crisis
honest.
is a good word,
Yeah, crisis on one Earth, but
basically.
basically, I mean, I've described the whole world, like the whole state of the world right now, with just a clip of a sports broadcaster, Stephen A. Smith, just saying, "We don't know what the hell is going on right now." But
Basically.
yeah, but yeah, all those games, obviously the big one is The Last of Us 2, and indefinitely at that.
Yeah, so who knows when it's going to come
That's
out at this point?
it'll probably still come out this year. Hopefully, Naughty Dog doesn't crunch their employees this.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, it just, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You got to wonder about what other games could potentially be delayed. Like, I've heard people worried about Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition because that was supposed to come out the same day as The Last of Us 2.
That's still on track to be released that day, but Nintendo did clarify at the beginning of that direct, these dates are up in the air right now. Things could get pushed back.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, we don't know about that. Honestly, that probably the reason Nintendo's like whole catalog this year is so scarce is because of this whole thing going on,
Right.
because we don't know like when more things will be announced. I don't know what other games could potentially be delayed. Probably some of the only games that are really safe was stuff like Resident Evil 3 and Final Fantasy 7,
Yeah, because those
which
were basically done by the time this whole pandemic started.
yeah, and like as of now, Resident Evil 3 comes out today and Final Fantasy 7 comes out in a week.
They
So,
did. Square Enix did say that at least physical pre-orders of FF7 might be affected by this, but it is still on track to release fully.
yeah, I mean, some games, like I don't know if it's affecting like even like the shipment of some games, like virus, because I know you and I Persona 5 Royal, and I was trying to find it on Amazon, but it looks like the English version, it just said out of stock, and we don't know when it will be back in stock. I
That's
don't
probably
know.
just because it's sold out on pre-orders like really quickly, but also because big big companies like Amazon are prioritizing the shipment of actual essential materials over fucking dumb Japanese video games right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, totally fair. But yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? We don't know when this whole mess is going to end, but hopefully things can stick more on track. I mean, we don't even know if this could affect games like Cyberpunk, which are supposed to come out in September.
I do believe that CD Projekt Red came out and said they are still on track to release in September, but things could change between now and then.
Okay, well, at least that's good, at least right as of now.
I think they also said in this article that yeah, the good news is that we're nearly done with development of Last of Us Part 2. We're in the mix of fixing final bugs, so they're just polishing things up right now. So the
Yeah,
game's essentially done, but of course the logistical issues are preventing them from releasing it when they were originally going to.
yeah, it really, yeah, from the sound of it, it doesn't sound like it was a development thing at all. It
Mm-hmm.
mostly just came from this whole coronavirus thing because, like, it was supposed to come out in May, and if they're just fixing bugs, that could probably happen.
Well, yeah,
If this whole
like look at the look at the rest of the delayed games we just covered. Like Wasteland 3, they're having logistical issues with staff working from home. The Outer Worlds port for Switch got pushed back because the studio was affected by the outbreak. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be like this for a while. Like I said numerous times on the podcast before leading up to this, these ain't the only ones we're going to see. More and more of these things are going to get pushed back.
Oh yeah, for sure. Which it's a shame. Like we just gotta hope the world can get its shit together
Mm-hmm.
effectively.
And then I'm also going to breeze through the rest of this pandemic news. Speaking of Sony, they announced that they're going to be limiting download speeds in both Europe and now in the US because of all the people who are staying home and social distancing. They don't want to overload their servers, so they're going to actively slow down download speeds on PS4,
Ooh,
which good because of course you don't want your service to be overloaded with the abundance of people that are staying home right now.
yeah,
So I think this is a smart move. Um, of course, it download speeds will differ. It will depend on the person and the situation. Who knows how slow they're going to get? But I think this is a step in the right direction. They're trying to really micromanage these kinds of things.
yeah. It's unfortunate that it'll be slower, but it seems pretty necessary.
Speaking of which is necessary, conventions and big events also are getting canceled. Um, one of which we didn't get to talk about because it happened a while ago and we didn't have a podcast a couple weeks ago, but one that was just recently announced this past week, QuakeCon 2020 has officially been canceled.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I mean,
Bethesda and its software announced that they're canceling QuakeCon due to COVID. So, of course, inevitabilities.
yeah. I mean, basically everything's getting canceled. Like games, convention, like sporting events. Like unless your name is WrestleMania, you're pretty much getting delayed or canceled.
Yeah, and if your name is WrestleMania, you're getting pre-taped. It's live
Yeah,
streamed in an empty. I don't even know what they're doing with that anymore.
it's tomorrow.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah,
But of course, the big one that happened a while ago was one of the first ones that came out. E3 has been officially canceled in its entirety,
yeah.
which we haven't had to talk about this on the podcast yet. What do you think this means for the future of E3?
Honestly, dude, I do not know. This could very well 2019 very could well have been the last E3 at this point because E3 has just been, as much as we don't like to admit it, it's been slowly losing more and more relevance as time has gone on, just because companies are finding it easier to just do things digitally. Like, I mean, people always call Nintendo out for being behind the times, but they were way ahead of the
Yeah,
time.
maybe they were way ahead.
Yeah, yeah, they beat everybody by a mile with the Nintendo Direct. I mean, not just the presentations themselves, but also doing that at E3. Like, I mean, everybody is literally copying Nintendo now because they realized how effective of a business strategy that
Mm-hmm.
is.
And companies have already come out and said that they're working on getting digital replacements for what would essentially be press conferences. I know Phil Spencer came out on Twitter and said, "Yeah, we're talking about doing some sort of digital showcase for what was going to be the Xbox briefing."
Yeah, and with Nintendo, from the sound of the mini direct, it sounds like we will still be getting what was supposed to be their E3 direct.
Mm-hmm. So
And
yeah,
I'm sure. Oh,
so
go ahead.
E3 isn't happening in June anymore, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Whether or not it will continue in the same format going forward is up for debate. I know that the ESA came out and said we are planning on having E3 2021, but
Oh, yeah.
what will the format of that be?
Yeah. I assume the ESA is going to try their damnedest to keep it the way it is,
Hmm.
but who knows?
Yeah. So that was the biggest one was E3 going under, but
Sorry.
it was an inevitability at that point. So that's all of our quote unquote negative pandemic-related stuff, things that have been negatively affected. But we do have a couple of positive stories regarding the outbreak that we can get
Yeah.
into. One of which seems like it could be a negative story at first, but has actually been has a positive spin on it. GDC, GDQ Games Done Quick, the annual all year round speed running fundraising events. Their summer Games Done Quick event has been postponed, but they have announced a replacement called Corona Relief Done Quick. So
Huh.
let's read. Games Done Quick has announced that its upcoming speedrunning event, Summer Games Done Quick, is being postponed due to concerns about the coronavirus. The event will now take place from August 16th through August 23rd in Bloomington, Manhattan? What is MN? What state is that?
Um, Minnesota.
Yeah, we'll go with that. I don't know anything about states, so I apologize. All money raised by the event will go towards Doctors Without Borders. In an update on its website, the organizers announced that all existing game submissions will be wiped and new submissions will be accepted from April 29th until May 9th. Volunteers and hosts will also have to reapply for the event before these dates. So yeah, this post on their Twitter states, in response to the situation surrounding COVID-19, we have made the difficult decision to postpone Summer Games Done Quick 2020 to August 16th through 23rd, 2020. In the meantime, GDQ will be doing an online marathon, Corona Relief Done Quick, from April 17th to 19th, 2020. 100% of all donations will go straight to direct relief. So yeah, that's interesting, because this is an example of an event that was negatively affected by the outbreak, but they turned it around and made something positive out of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's good that they were at least able to work something positive out of, having to push back. What was it? Summer Games Done Quick, I think you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, good that they were able to fix up or at least work with the situation on that. And yeah, I mean, I did look it up. MN is Minnesota.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I live in America, and even I didn't realize that.
That just goes to show. um, but yeah, it's good to see that they're doing something in the meantime, and that they are doing a specifically Corona relief oriented stream where all the donations are going towards figuring out this Corona thing.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of viruses, my dad just walked in and handed me my copy of Resident Evil 3 came in just now.
Cool. All about viruses and outbreaks. Very timely.
Very timely.
But let's move on. And this next story is related to something we covered a little while ago on the show. GDC, the Game Developers Conference, was delayed from its usual time slot, but they announced that they are moving into the summer. So let's read. Informatech, the organizer of the Game Developers Conference, has announced that GDC Summer is being planned as a replacement for the previously postponed GDC. GDC Summer takes place in the Moscone Center in San Francisco from August 4th through August 6th, and will retain the same high level of expert-led talks as the traditional GDC, according to the organizer. Attendees can look forward to high-quality technical content mixed with valuable roundtable discussions to foster conversation and connection. The Game Developers Conference was originally scheduled to take place from March 16th through 20th. However, it was announced earlier this month that the event was being postponed due to concerns regarding COVID-19, which they were ahead of the curve on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so GDC is happening in August now, which is it's nice to see that they didn't outright cancel it. But we'll have to wait and see how this progresses over the next few months, because of course things could change once again depending on the situation.
Yeah, I mean, the whole world is just kind of in a state of flux at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good to see that they're actually still holding GDC in some format.
Yeah.
And that's all of our stories revolving around the pandemic. Now we can go on to actually positive news stories.
Yay!
Starting with this one. This one is for both of us, mostly for you, but a little bit for me too. Bandai Namco announced the first DLC for DBZ Kakarot that is coming out later this spring.
Woo!
So let's read. Bandai Namco has shared details about A New Power Awakens Part 1, the first DLC for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. The upcoming DLC will allow players to train with Whis to unlock the Super Saiyan God transformation for both Goku and Vegeta. After completing the training, players can take on Beerus in an exclusive boss battle episode. The Super Saiyan God transformation can be used at any time during the main storyline, according to Bandai Namco. A New Power Awakens Part 1 will be available only to Season Pass holders in spring 2020. Everyone else will be able to purchase it along with the game's second DLC, A New Power Awakens Part 2, later this year. And finally, it was announced that the Ultimate Edition owners will be getting a music compilation pack in spring 2020. So yeah, Super Saiyan God is coming to DBZ Kakarot. How do you feel about this?
Oh, I mean, obviously, I'm really, really excited. I mean, I really, really liked Kakarot. I had a ton of fun when I was playing it. It was so much fun to play through just such a detailed and in-depth trek through of the DBZ story. And it is kind of a shame that the DLC isn't like a full-on playthrough of Battle of Gods.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to be like a Battle of Gods recreation or anything.
Yeah, though admittedly that in fairness that would be a pretty hefty DLC.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that we're getting more out of that game is really awesome because I really, really liked it. And I'm sure that A New Power Awakens Part 2 will be Super Saiyan Blue and
Oh,
Resurrection F.
yeah, of course. I assume it's going to be a blue transformation and maybe a super boss against Golden Frieza or something like that.
Yeah, it has to be a fight against Golden Frieza.
Yeah. But yeah, this is coming. No specific date yet. So we don't know when exactly this is coming. It just says spring 2020. So that could be any time between now and like July. But this is coming. And from what the from what I can gather of the screenshots, it seems like you can unlock this transformation when you train with Whis. I'm not sure if Beerus's planet is going to be a full environment because there are several shots that are on Beerus's planet. I'm not sure if it's going to be a full area or if it's just going to be like a hub that you can go to train with Whis and then do the Beerus boss battle. But you can unlock Super Saiyan God and you can use that through the entire main story. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that'll be really fun. I hope the DLC does well because Kakarot itself, the game, it sold really, really well,
Mhm.
especially for, a Dragon Ball game. So, maybe fingers crossed they might do this with Super or even the original Dragon Ball, make a game like this.
We'll have to wait and see on that, but
Yeah.
yeah, this is definitely a step in the right direction. I look forward to seeing what Super Saiyan God adds to the game.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. More release stuff. There were rumors leading for the last couple weeks about this, but it was shadow dropped on the 31st this past week. Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remaster is now available on PS4. So let's read. Following numerous leaks and rumors, Activision has released Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered on PS4. The remaster will be coming to Xbox One and PC next month on April 30th. The campaign has been remastered by Beanox and features improved textures, animations, physically based rendering. What the fuck does that mean? What is physically based render? Whatever. High dynamic range lighting and much more. Blah, 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 blah. Modern Warfare 2 was really nice. We wanted to remaster it real good. It was also announced that all purchases of Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered will come with the Underwater Demo Team Classic Ghost Bundle. The bundle includes the UDT Ghost Operator skin, Task Force and 1-for-1 weapon blueprints, the Flipper's weapon charm, Belly Flop finishing move, Stay Frosty voice quip, a player card, and an emblem to use in Modern Warfare and Warzone. It also is included with a pre-purchase of the game on Xbox One and PC. Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remaster is now available on PS4 for $20. So this is interesting, mainly because, yes, there were several rumors and leaks leading up to this, but they just kind of shadow dropped this. Like, hey, Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, here it is.
Yeah, that's what shocked me about it, that they shadow dropped it of all things. Because like Modern Warfare 2 is like, if I'm not mistaken, it's considered the best Call of Duty game, right?
At least in terms of campaign, yeah, a lot of people consider it to be the best one.
Yeah, that's really odd that they wouldn't hype it up.
Yeah, this definitely seems like something that they would have marketed to hell and back. But they just shadow dropped it. Of all the games to just shadow drop this one.
Yeah, and I mean, and there's no multiplayer either, which is kind of surprising
That's what I
because
was gonna say, because when they remastered the original Modern Warfare, when that was bundled with Infinite Warfare, it was the full treatment. It was the campaign and multiplayer. So the fact that they're not doing multiplayer for this is a little weird. Maybe
yeah,
they'll do it in the future as like a paid expansion or a free update or something, but for now it seems it's only the campaign.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that is really really odd. The whole kind of like, oh, a campaign only remaster of Modern Warfare 2 is out now. Wait, what?
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
And it's exclusive on PS4 for the next month? What?
Yeah. Rip
Yeah,
rip the
but
crowd.
the multiplayer thing is also interesting in the sense that this game in particular had Spec Ops mode, which was like a co op mission based mode. So the fact that that's also not here is really weird.
Yeah.
This entire situation is just weird. How they went about this is weird. The fact that they just shadow dropped it is weird. The fact that it's only the campaign is weird. But I'm sure it's a
Yeah.
quality remaster.
Yeah, hopefully. And it's not like $40,
Yeah.
thankfully.
And the Modern Warfare 1 remaster was a great remaster. Like, I think if I remember correctly, that remaster specifically made it onto my top games of 2016 list.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, it was a quality remaster, and it definitely did justice to a lot of the bigger moments in that campaign. So I'm sure this will be the same spiel. Um, but whether or not they'll add multiplayer and Spec Ops later down the road is, I guess, up in the air right now.
yeah, I
But
mean, who knows?
yeah, who knows? Hopefully, we'll get those expansions later on. But for now, it's just the campaign. But I'm sure a lot of people are happy about this.
Yeah, knowing Activision, though, it'll be a paid expansion.
Yeah, probably. Let's move on. Speaking of remasters, a lot of people are happy to see this getting remastered. Near Replicant.
Yeah.
Yeah, an upgraded version of Near Replicant is coming to console and PC, so let's read. Square Enix has announced that third-person action RPG Near Replicant is being rebuilt for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. The game originally released in Japan in 2010 and follows the story of a young boy as he embarks on a quest to cure his sister of a deadly disease. This will be the first time that Replicant has been released in the West, as Western audiences received a translated version of Nier Gestalt, which was renamed to just Nier. Gestalt released alongside Replicant as an Xbox 360 exclusive in Japan, and changes the protagonist to be older and the girl's father instead of her brother. A release date for the remaster was not announced. Square Enix also revealed that another Nier project is in the works called Nier Reincarnation, a mobile game for iOS and Android. It's unknown if Reincarnation will be released in the West. So yeah, Nier getting remastered. I don't think anyone really saw this coming.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first Nier game, right?
Yes. The first Nier has a really weird release history because this version of the game that's getting remastered was never released over here. The version that we got here in the West was heavily altered. So
Huh.
the fact that we're getting the true original version of the game over here for the first time is pretty monumental, especially for fans of this franchise. What do you think about this?
I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty big news. Honestly, not too shocking because Nier Automata was like this massive hit.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm sure many people who are fans of Automata who have never played the original are definitely going to jump on that. Like, it's really cool to see that Nier is doing well.
Yeah. I was honestly thinking that if we heard news about Nier again, it would be like a new game or a sequel to Automa or something like that,
Yeah,
but
I
not
mean,
like a remaster of the original. I wasn't expecting that.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll get a sequel to Automata sooner or later.
Just to clarify, this is Nier Replicant version 1.22474487139. I have to get it right.
Yeah, I mean, they totally did that on purpose.
Yeah. But yeah, Nier is getting remastered and is finally coming to the West in its original form. So I'm sure there are many people who are happy about this.
Yeah.
Speaking of another big Japanese game getting a remaster, arguably the biggest news from the Nintendo Direct that just happened, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition finally got a release date. So let's read.
Um,
Nintendo revealed during a surprise Nintendo Direct mini broadcast that Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is coming to Switch on May 29th. The upcoming Definitive Edition features updated graphics, improved battle HUD and menus, and more than 90 remastered music tracks. In addition, players will be getting an all-new epilogue story called Xenoblade Chronicles Future Connected that features Melia and Shulk. Xenoblade Chronicles originally released for the Nintendo Wii in 2012 before being brought to the new 3DS in 2015. So yeah, we kind of went over this briefly before when we were talking about the pandemic thing and all of the delays that were happening there. This is on schedule for May 29th. Who knows whether or not this will be delayed again, because Nintendo came out at the beginning of that direct and said none of these dates are final. This is what we're planning, but things could change.
yeah.
So who knows whether or not this will actually release in May as it's currently scheduled, but
Yeah, I mean, hopefully for Nintendo it does, because that is basically the only noteworthy first party game they have this year now that Animal Crossing's out.
yeah, until they eventually announce new stuff later down the road. But for now, this is the biggest thing they got.
Yeah.
I'm
I,
personally looking forward to this because I enjoyed Xenoblade 2 from what I played of it, and it excites me to be able to play a version of Xenoblade that doesn't look and run like utter ass.
yeah, I mean, I'll probably end up picking it up too. I have the original, played a little bit of it. It was pretty fun from what I played.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that ain't the only remaster that's been talked about with Nintendo lately.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But yeah, right now Xenoblade is scheduled to come out May 29th. That's like right after my birthday too, so if they do stay on track and it does release in May, I'm probably gonna pre-order it as like, hey, late birthday present to me. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this game and seeing how it differs from the sequel. So let's move on. We only have a couple more news stories before we wrap things up here. For those who are unaware, Sony held a little. I'm gonna call it a college lecture because that's basically what it was. But they held this event where Mark Cerny talked about the specs of the PS4 and all of the technology that was going into it. It's like a 52-minute college lecture where Mark Cerny just spouts out numbers that make no sense.
Yeah, and the only thing that people cared about from it was the fact that it only said PS4 backwards compatibility with the PS5.
Yep, that's what we're talking about because that was one of the things they mentioned. It's like, hey, um, we're pretty positive that most of the top 100 PS4 games will be playable on PS5, and then they had to clarify in a later statement that no, we mean that almost all of the PS4 games in our catalog will be playable, but not all of them. So let's read. Earlier this week, Sony stated that almost all of the top 100 PlayStation 4 titles will be playable on PS5 at launch. Sony has since clarified that the overwhelming majority of the PS4's back catalog will be playable on its next generation console. With all the amazing games in PS4's catalog, we've devoted significant efforts to enable our fans to play their favorites on PS5, an update on the PlayStation blog reads. We believe that the overwhelming majority of the 4,000 plus PS4 titles will be playable on PS5. We've already tested hundreds of titles and are preparing to test thousands more as we move towards launch. We will provide updates on backwards compatibility along with much more PS5 news in the months ahead. So to the layman who has no knowledge of tech or anything like that, this was the only discernible thing they could take away from this presentation. And in my opinion, it comes off as very disappointing because, especially with all of the rumors that were leading up to this, that every generation was going to be backwards compatible. So far, they've only talked about PS4, and they've clarified that they think that most of the games will be able to be played on PS5, but not all of them. And especially in comparison to how Microsoft is handling backwards compatibility with the Series X, where they specifically stopped the backwards compatibility program so they could take more development time to ensure that not only all of the currently available backwards compatibility titles with the 360 and OG Xbox could be played on the Series X, but also the entirety of the Xbox One library, and then on top of that, adding new games to the library.
Yeah.
This comes off as extremely disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen so many PlayStation fans going like, "Oh, does it really matter stations are backwards compatible when your competition is basically doing just that?" Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. When Xbox is over here being like, yeah, all the currently released Xbox One games will be playable day one, and also we're bringing back all those 360 and OG titles to the new system and adding more on top of that. Yeah, it's a little important.
Yeah,
And this to me basically says that Sony doesn't see backwards compatibility as a huge priority.
yeah, which I think is just completely ridiculous because for one thing, backward compatibility is what kind of saved the Xbox One when they brought it in, but also just like because it's incredibly frustrating because like it is a step up from the PS4. I will give them that, which was backwards compatible with nothing.
Nothing.
But because that was the biggest complaint about the PlayStation 4, and even when the PS3 went to the PS3 Slim and wasn't backwards compatible with like PS2 games anymore or something like that.
Sony has definitely had a sketchy history when it comes to backwards compatibility. They've never really seemed to get it down.
Yeah, and it's not even like what Nintendo is right now, where the Switch has an excuse to not be backwards compatible because it uses a completely different game format.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? I mean, I've still been hearing some slight rumors that maybe they're saving the PS1, 2, and 3 backwards compatibility announcements for like a surprise announcement later, but I don't know.
I mean, Sony hasn't exactly been doing the best with promoting the PS5 to begin with.
No, I don't
So,
argue. I don't think Sony or Microsoft has done a very good job with promoting the PS5 or the Series X.
I think at least with Microsoft, they've been more consistent with it, whereas Sony has basically been giving us, like, nothing to go off of.
Yeah, basically. And like I mean, you look comparatively to Switch, that thing immediately caught people's attention with the very first trailer they dropped for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope they can pick it up and like because both of those, if Corona doesn't hit them too hard, they're both of them are supposed to come out this year.
Yeah, and Phil Spencer just did an interview with Ryan McCaffrey over at IGN for their Xbox podcast, and he said they're still on track to release this holiday. But he also said, if need be, he will delay the launch because the health and safety of his teams comes first. Which,
Yeah.
kudos to you, Phil Spencer. You are a true man.
Yeah, good
I
on you,
respect you.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree that Sony has not done a good job. We don't even know what the PS5 looks like,
Now, at least we know what the Series X looks like.
even if it is just like a PC tower.
I kind of like the look, honestly. I like the PC Tower setup.
I kind of do like it too, but I did laugh. I saw somebody saying like, people are freaking out over the Series X, but it effectively is just this, and he went observe, and he just turned like a PS3 vertically and said that's effectively what it is.
Yeah. Like it's a little jarring when they reveal the new console and it's just a brick.
A brick. But I gotta give credit to Xbox. They leaned into those refrigerator jokes.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll give them credit.
Here is how the Series X scales next to your refrigerator. Of course, it's substantially smaller.
Yeah, I gotta give it to him. That's legitimately like good and fun
That's
marketing.
funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, PS5. Am I right?
I mean,
I don't
who
even know what
knows?
to say about it at this point.
I don't know because we don't know
Yeah.
anything.
The only thing we know is that it has a lot of specs, and most of the PS4 games will be playable, maybe, and that's
Yeah,
it.
maybe, hopefully. And hopefully when they say not all of them, they mean like shovelware that nobody cares about, and not something like, oh, you can't play Bloodborne on the PS5.
Okay, listen here. If if Sony comes out tomorrow and says, "Hey, if you buy a PS5, you can play Bloodborne at 60 frames," I am buying it day one. I don't give a shit. Like that will sell the console for me immediately. I don't care about all the new games that are coming out. If I can play Bloodborne at a higher frame rate, I'm going for it.
Oh man.
But yeah, that's the situation with the PS5 right now. Is that it will maybe play most PS4 games, but other than that, jack shit. But who's to say they could announce more like PS3 and PS2 and stuff like that later on? But for now, it seems to be just PS4, which compared to the competition is disappointing.
Yeah, really disappointing. Unless, like I said, they do announce something later.
Yeah, everything is up in the air right now. Things could change, but this is what we got right now.
Yeah.
And moving on to our last big story, which is arguably the biggest one that's come out in the past week. Um, Nintendo supposedly has big plans for Mario's 35th anniversary, and I'm sure you've seen this on numerous social media sites
Yes.
that they're planning some big remasters for this anniversary. So let's read. Of course, I'm going off of the original article that came out from VGC because this was the one that kind of catapulted this whole discussion. So let's read. Multiple sources have told VGC that the platform holder is planning to hold an event to coincide with this year's anniversary, which marks 35 years since the start of the mainline Super Mario series in 1985. As part of its anniversary celebrations, Nintendo revealed plans to re-release most of Super Mario's 35-year back catalog this year, remastered for Nintendo Switch. As VGC's network partner Eurogamer reported in a follow-up to our story, these remasters will include 1997 Super Mario 64, 2002 Super Mario Sunshine, and 2007's Super Mario Galaxy. Nintendo will also release several other Mario titles in 2020, including a new installment in the Paper Mario series and a deluxe version of 2013's Super Mario 3D World. So I know you have a lot to say about this, so the floor is yours. Go wild.
Yes, I do. This news is very exciting for me. The remasters sound really, really nice. Like I the one I love is Mario Galaxy. That game was like one of the few games that I can say that was like one of the defining games of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
If that comes out, I'm buying that immediately. Having Mario Galaxy portable would be a dream. And 64 and Sunshine on the Switch would be very nice too. Kind of got to feel bad though for Galaxy 2 and 3D Land because if these and the 3D World thing come to pass, those will be the only two mainline 3D Mario games not on Switch.
Well, who's to say that they won't be also part of this, but just the reports that are coming out right now say these are the big ones.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at I've looked at all the reports, and I don't see any mention of Galaxy 2 in 3D land. So it's kind of like, it might not be happening for those two, which is which Galaxy 2 just, that one hurts.
Yeah. Which,
But
of course, this is all speculation and rumors right now, so take it with a grain of salt.
yeah,
But
grain of salt. But yeah, and it's not surprising to me that 3D World would be getting its own deluxe port because that's a Wii U game, and that's basically what they've been doing with every Wii U game.
I feel like that should have happened by now.
Yeah, well, I mean, people have been saying it. 3D World is like one of the last games the Wii U really has to give it any worth. It's really like it's that, um, Pikmin 3, uh,
Woolly World.
Woolly World. I mean, well, even because like every well, no, Woolly World is on like the new now.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because like every Wii U game now either has like a port or a sequel on the Switch that just does everything better.
Right.
And like, so who know? I mean, I'm sure it's going to happen sooner or later, but that'll be cool to see. And the Paper Mario one is the one that's a real big shocker because one thing that the reports have been saying that I don't think your report mentioned is that it is rumored to be a Paper Mario game that is like the original and Thousand Year Door.
Well, let me see. There was actually a follow up to this story that was linked in this article, again from VGC, that pretty much covered the same stuff, so I didn't mention it, but I can go through it. VGC can now confirm that among the Mario titles set to appear on Switch are Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy. One person with knowledge of Nintendo's plans said that the re-releases were being treated as a special anniversary collection of games rather than standard digital ports. Nintendo will also release several other titles in 2020. This includes a deluxe version of the 2013 Wii U game Super Mario 3D World, which will be bolstered with new content and levels. They are also preparing to announce a new installment in the Paper Mario series. The new game is understood to be a return to the series' RPG roots, with a game closer to its N64 and GameCube installments following criticism of its 3DS and Wii U entries.
Yeah.
Also, many 2D Mario games are... Oh, wait. Never mind. That's just like... They're just like, hey, the 2D games are already out. Fuck, they don't need to be remastered, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Paper Mario thing caught me by surprise because it's been talked about to death over the last few years. When's a new Paper Mario coming? Is a new Paper Mario coming? And if a new game does happen, what kind of game will it be? Will it be closer to the original and Thousand Year Door? Or will it be something like Sticker Star or Color Splash that's just kind of a neutered version of Paper Mario?
Yeah, because many people do not like Color Splash and especially Sticker Star for just ditching everything that made the original and Thousand Year Door so great. Even Super Paper Mario, back when it first came out, caught flack for that.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I was gonna say Super Paper Mario is kind of like the weird black sheep.
Yeah,
Like
it
it's
caught.
completely different from either end of the spectrum.
Yeah, but people have definitely warmed up to it more in recent years.
Yeah, I was one of the few people that actually really liked Super Paper Mario when it first came out.
Yeah, I mean, it has a lot of great things about it.
Yeah, it definitely took it in an interesting direction that they haven't done since. But
Yeah, I mean, that'll be super, super big news if that happens, especially because, being in the original style, we haven't had an original style Paper Mario game in 16 years.
yep,
Just like the Mega Man X games we
yeah,
were talking about.
it's weird how we bookended this podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if that happens, I'll be super excited for it. I've played and beaten the original Paper Mario and I really, really liked it. I have played a small, small bit of Thousand Year Door. Haven't really had the time to sit down and play a ton of it, but
Play
if
Thousand Year Door.
I will, I got a lot of other games I need to play. For God's sake, I got Persona 5 on my backlog. That's
Yeah,
gonna
that's
take
true. That's gonna take you at least 100 hours.
Yeah, I got a lot of RPGs on my backlog, and those are always the worst to have because they take so long.
And from what I remember, I haven't done a full playthrough of Thousand Year Door since I got it as a kid, but It took me like 50, 60 hours to get through that game.
I
So
mean,
that's
I
a
can look.
substantial one too.
Yeah, I mean, How Long to Beat has it at just main story at 30 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, who knows if Paper Mario 6 does happen and it's in the style of the original 2, I'll definitely pick it up. I'll
Oh,
be super.
absolutely. Like no question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I normally I do like to take rumors with a grain of salt unless they're like talked about by like a very credible leaker. But I legitimately think this could be real just by the sheer amount of people that are talking about it.
Yeah. Again, it's all speculation. Nothing is confirmed at this point, so take it with a grain of salt until something official comes out.
Oh yeah,
But
this podcast could be very dated
oh yeah.
and
What else is new?
but yeah, I mean, I personally think it's legit. Like I could easily see this as an E3 announcement
Yeah.
for me personally.
I think even let me go back to the original article because it said somewhere. I'm just looking through the article because it said somewhere. Yeah, here we go. The Super Mario 35th anniversary reveal was originally due to take place as a physical event at E3 in June, but Nintendo is now reviewing its plans in light of the ongoing pandemic. So,
Yeah,
from reports that came out, this was supposed to happen alongside their E3 Direct.
yeah, who knows? I mean, it could just be an announcement in their E3 Direct
Right.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially with how the reports are claiming that this is a bundle rather than releasing them individually. So this is a collection type
yeah,
ordeal.
like a 3D version of Mario All Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did kind of laugh when I heard these rumors though, because I found it kind of funny. Because even though it didn't get any the amount of coverage and it probably ended up being fake, Sonic kind of had this exact same rumor just like a month before this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully this turns out real because I would love Galaxy on my Switch. I would finally sit down and play through Sunshine fully for the first time.
Yeah, people have been clamoring about some sort of re-release for Sunshine for years. Even if it was just virtual console, people have been wanting it. And to
Yeah.
have it finally come to fruition as a full remaster, that would be like everyone's dream come true.
Oh yeah, because I mean, just comparatively, where Mario 64 has been re-released a
Yeah, and
bunch.
64 is 64. Who cares?
Yeah, who gives a shit?
Compared to these other two, like you fucking sit in the corner.
Why do you need that when we got Galaxy?
Yeah, who cares? Like, go away, 64.
Yeah.
You're not even that good.
No, it's not. It's aged so much.
It hasn't aged well.
It has
Maybe a
not.
full remaster though would actually like fix a lot of its problems.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, when they say remaster, do they mean like they would give all these like graphics that? Oh my gosh, if all these games had Odyssey graphics.
I think that's what this is leaning towards.
Oh, dude, if Galaxy has Odyssey level graphics, I am just.
I mean,
Oh.
that game looked amazing even for Wii standards. So,
Oh, yeah.
like, they really did a good job with Galaxy. But yeah, this is again, as we said several times, this is all rumors and speculation. So don't get your hopes up too much. But
Can't
this,
tell me what to do.
yeah, but this could potentially be something that comes to fruition. And if it does, I mean, Nintendo basically owns all my money to begin with, so
Basically, same for me.
like, what's $90 more? Who cares? Just take it.
Yeah, I don't need a car.
Yeah,
Just
no
take
bills.
those. Who needs bills?
Yeah, who needs to be a responsible adult when I got Super Mario? But anyway, that's our last big news story for the day. So with that, we can wrap things up here.
All right.
Thank you for joining me. It's been a fun time once again.
Yeah, thanks again, man. Like again, I say it all the time whenever we talk, but this was a lot of fun. It definitely wasn't as long as a podcast.
Yeah, I was expecting this to go way longer, but we got through a lot of that Corona just Chrono stories pretty quickly. So that saved us a lot of time.
Yeah, because it was all basically one big topic.
Yeah, if I had gone through each of those stories individually, I think we would still be here.
Yeah, we would probably be here till like maybe 3.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for joining me, Ryan. It's been a pleasure as always. And if you want to go see the stuff that he's doing, go follow him on Twitter at the NCS Master, and go subscribe to him over on YouTube, same name, NCS Master, where he does his vlog reviews. He just recently did his Devil May Cry review, and he's planning on reviewing Doom 2016 next. So go check him out, subscribe. He does some great stuff. Thank you for being here.
Thanks again, man. And yeah, hopefully I'll get to my 2016 Doom review soon if Zero Two doesn't get in my way.
Yeah, sooner rather than later is the name of the game here, Ryan.
Yeah.
Seeing as how long that the DMC one took to come out.
Hey, I made a video in between that, okay?
Yep. But with that said, we can wrap things up here. So thanks for listening to yet another episode of Bearded Banter. If you like what you've seen, you can go ahead and subscribe to us right here on YouTube to get quality content like this, including podcasts, stream VODs, Let's Plays, unboxings, funny edited content, and more. And what do we do, Ryan?
Click that motherfucking bell.
Thank you. To get notifications on when we upload so you're the first to see the new videos as they go live. Also, make sure to go ahead and follow us over on Twitch, twitch.tv/BeardedGamingNetwork, where we stream every Tuesday and Thursday, 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ryan's in the stream chat all the time. Come hang out. It's usually a lot of fun.
Yeah, I always am the first to wubba wubba.
Yeah, now with that new intro.
Oh my gosh, I was like, what the heck was that?
I knew it was going to throw a lot of people off. And finally, go ahead and follow me over on Twitter at BeardedGamingN, where you can get all the latest updates on BGN when we upload and when we go live on Twitter, as well as my dumb opinions on movies, TV, anime, games, and more. And tons of memes, specifically regular show out of context clips, because that's like my thing right now.
You use the guitar riff from that in your new intro.
When I had the idea to do that, I was like, this is exactly what I want. And then Matt sent me that clip, and it was the exact soundbite I was looking for. So I'm like, welp, yoink.
Yeah, I heard the intro, and then I thought for a second, wait, that's the same guitar riff from the out of context clip you played on stream.
Oh, you know it is. But yeah, go ahead and follow me over there at Bearded Gaming N for great stuff like that. And with that said, we can wrap things up. So thank you very much for watching. We will see you again in 2 weeks for another exciting podcast. And once again, thanks to my guest Ryan, NCS Master, for joining me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's always a lot of fun.
All right, so we'll see you in 2 weeks for another podcast, and keep on gaming, everyone.